with custom cars. And that ended up doing a lot more than that. It ended up allowing you to see other players' custom cars online, which was a feature that I had requested for a while, but it had always been like, I don't know if that's possible. I'll try. I'll see about it, and I'll get back to you. And then accidentally, he gave me exactly what I wanted, which was great.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Squared Corner podcast. I'm your host, JayCee Squared, where I will be going and interviewing multiple guests from the Hot Wheels community. Today's guest I have with me is Omegapus, otherwise known as the distance guy for Acceleracers mods. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just woke up, had a bit of a late night last night, watching some messed up anime.
Okay.
Let's
this
not,
isn't trash taste.
Yeah, let's not veer into
I made the
discussion
mistake of
anime.
going into.
I saw the video. It was.
I made the mistake of going into anime too soon
Yeah.
with my conversation with Vulcan. So let's just go straight into
Let's
it.
ignore that. Yeah.
How did you get started in the community of Acceleracers Distance? How did you do that?
So if you know Alex Chosen, he was actually the guy that started me off. It was Alex Chosen, and I don't know how to pronounce the second guy's name, but he lives in Germany, I think. He's either Dutch or German. His name is ZU, or it's spelled Xioo. It was him and Alex Chosen just made a bunch of Acceleracers maps for Distance, and at that point, it had been years since I'd even heard about Acceleracers. I still had some of the my old cards and cars and memorabilia from when I was a kid, from when I used to really watch and love the series, and I had actually found out about Distance through completely different means. It had been a game that I just was playing a lot. So I started off with its predecessor, Nitronic Rush, and I just quickly fell in love with the gameplay. And then when I found out that the team behind that game was making a sequel, I jumped on that. I backed it. I got into the Kickstarter, into the alpha. I was just really excited about it. And then someone I knew through Steam sent me links to some of the maps, because I think I may have mentioned something about Acceleracers to them, or maybe not. I don't know exactly how I found them, but I found some of these maps, and I was just like, oh my god, this is incredible. And then I thought, well, these are good, but they could be better. And so I hopped into the Distance level editor, and I was just like, I can make the skybox purple. I can fix the theming elements that are missing, because in a lot of the levels they were just visually lacking, just because there wasn't a whole lot of effort put into them. It was just more of a thing that these two people were doing because they're just like, oh, wouldn't this be cool to recreate this thing that I knew from childhood? And then I found them, and I was just like, oh, there's so much potential here. So I created I recorded a video for Zio's Storm Realm. I think it was more or less that track layout. I just added some cosmetic effects and then re-uploaded it. Originally I was just like, no, I don't need to upload these maps. I just want to fix a few things in them. And then it became such a hassle to pass off the maps from one another that I just started doing map making on my own. And that in and of itself was a journey. But the video, I think, was what sparked everything, because that video that I uploaded got, I think, around 150,000, 250,000 views, which I was not expecting.
What?
But I think the reason why is that I called it an Acceleracers video game, because I was just like, oh my god, this is what I've wanted in an Acceleracers video game, the platforming, the gameplay, the visuals were up to par with what I would expect from an Acceleracers video game. And then with every update, it just kept getting more features. You got an animator, you got retexturable simples, you got skyboxes, warp bank, just all these different tools you could use to make stuff of the quality. Have you seen any of Pines of Chaos's maps? That's the standard.
Course, yeah. His stuff is insane.
Exactly. That's the toolkit that Distance gives you in order to recreate these things, in order to craft your vision. You don't get something like that from Roblox, and you don't get something like that from even Hot Wheels Unleashed, and a lot of other things. It's like
Yeah.
thematically, you've got so much control over what you can do in distance. Um,
Mhm.
Even if you take away the accelerator stuff, I just really like the flexibility of the editor and
Yeah.
the variety in gameplay. It just
Yeah, I can agree. I remember doing one of your contests, I think, for the track editor. I did the stunt track
I remember that one.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stunt track challenge, one of the Buccaneer Bay ones. And I remember just thinking, there is so much going on with this editor.
Oh yes.
Like it was a lot more than I think I could handle because I used to do Roblox stuff a lot, but I think I wasn't all in, and a lot of it felt like it was just basically copy and paste for me.
Yeah.
But I thought it was still good enough. I feel like that it would be interesting to put out there. I don't know if anyone has done any more stunt track challenge stuff. I don't know if too many tracks are out there, but I thought it was pretty neat at the time.
Yeah. Subtract Challenge is
So
underappreciated, definitely within the Hot Wheels um, umbrella of
hmm
works.
yeah. All right. Well, how long was that actually? Vulcan told me that he got in it because of you, and that was I think almost 3 years ago, so 2018. So what year did you get into it for distance and stuff?
2016 or 2017. I remember it was still when I was in
Okay.
high school. So it was a while
Okay.
ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was in high school in 2017. All right. So I just can't believe how old the community is in general. It feels like
Yeah.
it's just been going on for so long, but it's only just now sort of getting more popular. I don't know. What are your opinions on that?
Um,
Is it been getting better in terms of more people, more views? How are your streams and stuff going?
the streams I think have started dropping off a little bit, but I think that's more to do
Mm,
with the fact that I'm making less realms stuff and more rant. Like I'm not recreating things is the problem. Because
yeah.
what's popular is recreations, revisitations of everybody's favorite cars or realms or characters.
Mm,
Um, but the direction I'm trying to take it is in more of a taking the world and the elements of Acceleracers and separating that from anything that happened canonically. Like
yeah.
Accelron cars are a thing. Yeah, we can decide what they look like and we can decide what they do. We can fill in the blanks here. We can kind of chart new territory
Mm-hmm.
because it just
Yeah.
after a while it just sort of got stale. Just rehashing the same territory over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many different versions of the Storm Realm do you think there are on Distance?
At least five.
At least
At
five.
least
Yeah,
five.
I know there's so many like different little ones. And I forgot, did you complete that was it world race all the way to the ultimate race, or did you just do the ignition
It's a
pass
big
for those
it's
maps?
a so a majority of the work that I've done for the community has mostly been organizational because I quickly realized there
Mhm.
was way more work than I could ever hope to get done alone. So
Oh, okay.
it was mostly in the vein of kind of broadcasting the stuff that I was doing in the hopes that I could get more people to do it, which I think I've been
Oh
fairly
yeah.
successful at, like General Kenobi
Oh
or
yeah, General Kenobi,
yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah, Pines of Chaos is doing his own thing and got into it for his own reasons and mostly just does
Right.
distance maps and occasionally does realms maps. But yeah, no, a few other people who have seen the need and heeded the call, for lack of a better word or phrase, um, and started making maps and redoing maps that don't have a good version. And that's something that I'm very big on too, just always just continual improvement, because if I had my way, all of the maps on the workshop would be at the quality, like on par with stuff that Pines puts out. But
Oh, jeez.
that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort,
That's a
and it takes a
lot.
lot of skill. And
Mhm.
it's an ongoing project. It's there, you never
Yeah.
stop, you're never done, you're never finished, it's never perfect.
Well, all right. I want to shift gears just a little bit. What do you think of Hot Wheels Unleashed right now? And do you think it's been more of a detriment to how people are building tracks, or do you think that the track editor is good there? Do you think it'll be more popular? How long do you think it'll last?
um
Comparatively.
it's hard to say. I still play it. but mostly just to try and
Mhm.
finish my collection. I think once I get all the cars, there's not really going to be a whole lot of reason for me to continue
Yeah.
playing. And I play mostly to complete the missions, not because the gameplay itself is a reward for me. Then again, I don't
Yeah.
really have anybody else that I know that I play with. I could see playing it on a regular basis if I had friends that were just like, "Hey, yo, hop on, Unleashed. Let's play a few
Mhm.
matches. Bet I can, beat you in a race or something. That'd be fun."
Yeah.
Um, but just playing games online or locally, just for fun, the gameplay is solid, but it is also
Mhm.
rather limited in scope. There's only
Mhm.
so many directions you can take it. And the
Yeah.
fact that it's always the same environments,
Yeah, that one's the one that hurts me
yeah,
is the environments,
yeah,
I feel like, when it
yeah.
comes to
There was a lot of
yeah.
hopeful optimism when the game was announced that, oh no, they'll have an environment editor, it'll allow you to do stuff like that. And
Yeah,
I was never
not so
very
much.
hopeful about that. No, yeah, I never
Yeah.
thought that. I mean, because that's something that not a lot of games do because it requires a lot of work, and also if you
Yeah.
want to do it well, you basically like have to dump out a pool of Legos for the
Yeah.
players who want to use your editor, just like Distance. What you get in order to build my Accelerdrome, you don't get like pre-built like Excel, wheel of powers or like
Yeah.
red lamps or track textures or whatever. What you get are tracks and shapes, and out of those
Yeah.
shapes, you can build larger structures, and it gives you the tools to line up the textures and to change the texture color values, sizes, mappings, etc. It's a lot more complicated, but it gives you a lot more control. And that's something
Yeah.
that I always just felt like most AAA games were too afraid to do. They didn't want to scare like the player base by giving them too much to think about or too much control.
Yeah.
So unless it's modding, like unless it's mods to replace the
Yeah.
environment and modify the physics and stuff, I don't know if I see Acceleracers really finding a great home in Hot Wheels Unleashed. It's
Mm.
probably going to go the way of Infinite Loop.
Yeah. Man, that's Infinite Loop. You got to bring that one up.
Yeah,
Hole in my heart.
yeah,
Poor thing. That poor thing.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking um how people have been kind of treating Unleashed recently is that it has a really fun livery editor and
It
such,
does.
but it is extremely um yeah, it is very limited to its like core gameplay. There's just really not much you can do. I think one of the biggest critiques I had of it was that you couldn't really do anything in the air as much as like I mean you could skip and stuff and you can boost around, but it's not like you can like do turns and twists, I feel like, as much as you could in previous Hot Wheels games. And I was always wondering why they didn't allow more air movement, I guess. Uh, just in my opinion, I was always hoping for a little more air control. And I guess that's why I like Distance a little bit more. But I gotta say, Distance for me, I remember doing the tournaments, the endurance tournaments, and I was just like sweating like the entire time, just sweating my hands because it's you're just trying to survive the entire time. It's like don't die, just don't die, just don't die,
That's
please
what
don't
makes
die. I
it
don't want to
fun.
die.
I often get complaints about like, oh, it's so hard, and I'm just like, it wouldn't be
It
rewarding
is
if it
very,
wasn't.
it's super
I
hard.
can't not
I
make it
remember.
hard. What you're asking is for me to make it unfun, and that doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I know. I think the first couple of times you did it, it was just too hard to calculate points.
Yeah.
The
No, it was
like
just a
just
mess.
doing it was just doing standard stuff, and then you also had the amount of skippers and
Yeah, no, I
I
was
think
because at the
rule
beginning I was
breakers and
just like, no,
stuff.
no, no, you're right. No, I should penalize skipping. But then I realized like if I try to like rewatch all of the
It's a
gameplay and like
lot of
try and
rewatching. Yeah,
catch people who are like arbitrarily just kind of behaving in a specific way, then like that's oh my god. I'd much rather
yeah,
just design maps in a way that either discourages or prevents skipping, and then just be like,
mm,
you know, everything goes, have fun,
yeah,
because then you don't have
yeah,
to enforce it. Then they either make it or they don't, and all you have to
yeah.
worry about is the scores, leaderboard scores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that was a really good change, even though it is much harder. I think I stopped participating because I just couldn't. I don't have enough time,
Yeah.
They are extremely fun. If you're a viewer watching this right now, just know that they're really fun. I think, what are they, every month?
Every month,
You're
first
even doing
Saturday of the month.
streams? Yeah. So first Saturday of the month, for people that want to get involved in that, it's basically just go in, find a team, sign up into his server, and I'll link his server and stuff down below. Um, I want to get back to, how did you get into the 3D modeling aspect of
Mm,
Distance? Because you have the actual mods in Distance,
yeah.
so this is no longer the track editor which comes with it. This is now
Yeah.
the modding scene. How'd you get
Yes.
into the modding scene of Distance and with the 3D modeling?
So modding for me has always been a like I don't understand it, but it works, so I'm not going to mess with
That's
it.
me. That's me.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about like C# coding, which is what you need to. It's the coding language that Distance is built out of because it's the coding
Oh, okay.
language that Unity is built out of.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
people
yeah.
much smarter than me came up with a a few mods for Distance and documented them well enough that I was able to learn how to use them. And so
Hmm.
what you see on my streams when I'm importing a car is me using the Unity interface and following a guide in order to format the vehicles properly in a way that the mod written by Nico loads them into the game.
Ah.
Yes. So I got started with modeling actually because I got invited to a fan game with our Jig and Valken and
Oh
a
yeah.
few other people. It was
Mm-hmm.
one of the very first ones to come off the ground, and I remember seeing these 3D models of these like Acceleracers cars and being like, "Oh my god, that's cool!" And like then the custom car mod came out for Distance because for a
Yeah.
while like it just wasn't there, and then I remember thinking,
Okay.
"Oh my, like
Open so
this."
many more possibilities.
Yes, like I just like immediately I was just like, I need these models. I need to put them in Distance. I
Mm,
need to do this. Because it was really exciting for me to think about, and I thought, well, if it's exciting for
yeah.
me, then it'd be exciting for a lot of other people, and it was. It's some of the most enthusiasm I think I've seen for Distance in a while is when
Yeah.
I released the video showcasing custom cars, and then of course when it
No,
got the update
yeah.
that allowed you to see other players' custom
Yeah.
cars online.
That was insane.
That was just
That was
like
insane.
because it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It was only so the mod author actually just changed a few lines of code so that replays would work properly with custom
Mm.
cars, and that ended up doing
And
a lot
then
more than that. It ended up allowing you to see other players' custom cars online, which like was a feature
dang.
that I had requested for a while, but it had always been like, I don't know if that's possible. I'll try, I'll see
Yeah.
about it, and I'll get back to you. And then like accidentally, he gave me exactly what I wanted, which was great.
I remember when that happened. I think, when was that, like 2018, 2019, maybe
2019, I think. It was
2019 maybe.
around Distance
Yeah.
Advent Calendar
I
something
remember
something.
watching the video and going, no way this is happening. No way this is happening. How is this happening? And I remember just trying to follow your tutorial as fast as possible to try and get it working. I'm like, this has to work. This has to work. This is like the only Acceleracers video game at the time. I think this was
Yep.
before all the other ones,
Yes,
even
exactly.
with
No,
Roblox. I think it's
yeah.
before the Roblox modeling team got really good. This was like the first stuff
Yeah.
that
The
came off the
first
track.
taste,
And
yeah.
yeah. And I was like, hey, look, if you need textures, I've got textures. I'm throwing them at
I
you.
think
Or just use them.
I've still got your textures on Jackhammer and Spinebuster and everything.
There you go. See, it still works.
Yeah.
They still
No,
looked
they're
good.
on there, yeah.
It's funny because I remember making them and thinking, these are awful. These are the worst things I
As long as they're
made.
clean.
And then I realized just how bad the texturing scene was, and luckily I did have some help. I was
Yeah.
glad to help a little bit. I know Project Accelerators has used my stuff too. Apparently, I don't know if you lent them it, and then
I'm
they
not
just put my name with
yeah,
it.
I
I don't remember
don't
because I know
think so.
your name and my name are in the credits, and I was just like, I don't remember giving anything to this.
The AR fan game repository has a lot of Teku textures that I donated.
Okay,
But I don't think I put
that
any
must
of
be
your
it.
stuff in there. Yeah, no, it's mostly just vectors
Uh,
for
well,
Teku
I don't know
textures.
how I got it. I just know it did get it.
Yeah.
Someone sent it. It could have been RJ if we're in for, I don't know. I don't know. But I always found that quite quite hilarious that I came on one day
At
and
least you're in the credits. I mean, better than not being
and
credited.
and I was like, "Oh, I'm in the credit. Wait, what did I do?"
Yeah.
Oh, that was a funny time. Um, I guess okay. I guess yeah. We kind of got that done. I guess what would be your favorite part about modeling? Do you enjoy the modeling section of
I
it
do. I
as
do.
much?
I enjoy modeling. It's very time consuming, but the flip side of that is that it's
Mm-hmm.
very rewarding to really see something that you picture in your head um, come into shape. Like when I modeled, for example, it wasn't anthracite, it was something else. It was,
Was that the Vert Wheeler one, the one that never was released? That one or different one?
no, no, just any cars that I would model once they just started finally coming together, and I'd be like, oh, it actually looks like I want it to look.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like trash. It doesn't look like garbage. Hold on, this looks good. It was like such a shock,
Yeah.
because I've never been really an artistic person. I used to draw
Mm.
as a kid a little bit, but it was always just kind of doodles. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
this looks so kind of okay. And like occasionally I'd luck out and I'd have like clean lines and curves, and I'd be like, that doesn't look awful. But with
Yeah.
this, like you were just able to iterate and iterate and iterate and fix and tune up and tweak until it looks exactly how you want it to look. And that's a
Yeah.
very, rewarding feeling to just feel like you've created this thing exactly how you want it to be. And that if there's anything wrong
Mm.
with it, you can like, after enough time and experience, you know exactly what buttons to push and in what order
Yeah.
and what things to change in order to get this thing looking exactly how you want it to look. I'm
Mm.
by no means like on par with someone like Vulcan. He has grasped the more enlightened, higher concepts of hard surface modeling, and
Yeah.
has a better modeling workflow. I think a lot of people do. I just kind of do it. I don't know.
You just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know you stream it a lot.
yeah.
Do you I know you recently you've done this, is that you get people's opinions on what new to make because there's
All
not, I
right.
think, I don't
The art
know. So,
competitions, yeah, no. So yeah, no. Instead of like trying to like work with one or two people, I just kind of open it up for anybody with new ideas. And if
mm,
somebody has something that's good, and people think, oh yeah, no, this is like good. I like this. Um, then uh, we just go in that direction. You know what I mean? And
mm,
that's the nice
yeah.
part about how it's not like how it's not. I don't know. It's something that people volunteer their time to do, and it remains that, and it
Mm-hmm.
remains something that people are enthusiastic enough about that they take their free time and they contribute,
Mm,
like
yeah.
Axel contributes by modeling base meshes. Recently General Kenobi put a bunch of finishing touches on a model that I had more or less kind of finished, um,
Uh-huh.
and everybody works together in order to get these things off the ground, and everybody shares
Mm-hmm.
the credit and shares the reward, and like everybody benefits. I don't know. There's just a
That's
strong
nice. That's
sense of,
wholesome.
yeah,
That's so wholesome.
yeah,
Because it's not very common. It feels like in the grand scheme of Acceleracers projects and modding and everything. It felt like for a while there was always a little bit of drama that come up every 3 or 4 months, and team didn't like each other. They
hmm,
split up. They do their own new projects and
yeah,
stuff. So it's good to see that you still got like a good solid I guess fan group right there, and contributed group.
yeah. The main contributing factor to that, I think, is being able to relinquish control. The server isn't
Mm,
mine, and it's never really been mine. I own it. I run it, kind of. But it doesn't
mm-hmm,
belong to me. Neither does the channel. Neither do my streams. They exist as a community forum, and the control that I have is mostly just to fix problems with this community forum, things that other people don't like. If I ignore that
mm,
responsibility, that's where the drama starts. If I ignore that and
ah,
say, oh, screw you, this is my thing, I get to decide what happens with it. That's what leads to
ooh,
drama.
yeah,
But
yeah,
by recognizing that this isn't something that I own, and this isn't something that I control, it exists because of the sense of community, because people as a collaborative effort come together to donate their time in order to doing this thing,
Yeah.
then it survives. It only survives if
Hmm.
you recognize that and if you respect that.
Yeah. And I think that leads into my next question here, which is how healthy do you think that the Acceleracers community as a whole is? Has it been leaning tippy toppy? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think any fandom tends to have unhealthy parts.
Mm,
People who obsess or get really abnormally emotionally invested in
mm,
the community. But there are also parts that are healthier. People who appreciate it as a hobby, as a kind of
yeah.
for the nostalgia, and don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't really speak for the rest of the Accelerators community. While I'm technically in the Hot Wheels Discord and a few other Accelerators Discords, I mostly just keep them muted, except for at mentions. So I'm never on there. I have no idea what's going on, and frankly, I don't have the time to keep up with it. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know, and I'm healthier for it mentally.
Okay. I guess that's yeah. It's always nice to have your little subsection and just stick to it
Yeah,
sometimes. Um, is there? I guess yeah. I guess that answered the next question I was gonna ask, which was how do you think you could improve the community? It's like you just have good areas and you just focus on those good areas. You know, it's a hobby and
yeah.
such. Um,
It's a good
are
creative
there?
outlet, but if you become too emotionally attached and too sensitive to criticism, then you open yourself up to a lot of negative emotions. When I first got
Mm-hmm.
into the community, actually, I fell into that trap myself because I wasn't perfect, but I was spending a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time and effort, and hearing anybody joke about the work that I'd done felt very hurtful. I took it really personally,
Yeah.
and so it took a while for me to detach my self-worth from like the quality of my work and realize, like,
Mm,
just because I make things that are imperfect doesn't mean I'm a talentless hack. It just means that I need to improve.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that goes back to what Vulcan said at one point. He said there's a lot of new people in the community that don't know how to um, communicate and such
Yeah,
proper or don't know what people that have been here for a really long time sort of already are joking around about things a lot when it does mean a lot to people
yeah,
that just get into it. I think Accelerators Hub had a good video on that recently about collecting and making fun of people overpaying and such when they just want to collect because they love it
yeah.
too. um so I think that was a really good point, man. How did you, other than how do I want to phrase this question? How did you decide on the name Omegapus?
Uh, all right.
How did you decide on
I've
that?
got a step by step kind of timeline. I've got a pipeline for
Okay.
exactly how it happened. All right. So, step one on my Steam, I was just like, oh, the Omega like symbol is cool. Hyphen Omega
Oh, yeah,
hyphen.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm edgy. Oh, look at me. I'm so mysterious and enigmatic. And then I had my YouTube channel, which was originally like Millennium Zero Gamer because I made it when I was like 12. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and then I changed that to Opus because I was just like, oh no, it's deep, it's Latin. Opus is it's Latin.
Okay.
So
See, I didn't even know what that
I think it was
was.
originally like Magnum Opus or Opus Magnum or something
Oh, 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 okay,
that
okay.
I did, and that was like partially inspired by Ultra Magnus from Transformers because I was
Mm-hmm.
really into Transformers like video games at that point. Uh, I still occasionally will boot them up. It's good nostalgia. Um, and uh, and that's what I decided I wanted the name to be. And then I was just like, well, I could shift this. I could change the image because it was a bunch of like really cheaply kind of basic color scheme like Microsoft Paint artwork that I had kind of
Mm-hmm.
decorating my channel. And I was just like, well, this
Yeah.
could stand to be improved. And so I took the symbol that I had on. There's a whole story behind like almost literally everything.
The
Yeah,
triangle and
the
everything.
triangle. I took that, and then I was working at a PC repair shop at the time, and there was this like cool like water spill on the counter, and I was just like, "Oh, I like that." And so I I like got down with my camera, like took a picture of it like with a bunch of glare behind
Mm.
it, and then like turned up the noise a lot until you couldn't tell what it was originally, and just slapped that on on the symbol I had, recolored it, and it was just like, bam, I'm purple. Um,
Okay. That works.
yeah. And then I was just like Omega, and then Magnum Opus, and I was just like, I'll just replace the O with an Omega symbol, and I like didn't really
Mm,
think about how you would pronounce that. I didn't really cross my mind. I was just like, that looks cool, and I just left it.
yep.
And then
Well,
originally
there
I
you
was
go.
just like, so that is Omega Pus, Omegapus. And I was just like,
Yeah.
that sounds weird. But then I was just like, no, don't lean away from it. This is who you are. Yeah.
Lean into the nuance
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the.
yeah. Lean into the strangeness. Yeah.
That's a fun story. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Um, how did you? When did you think that YouTube was gonna be big for you? You know, other than the like one video you said earlier.
Um,
When did you like really start just saying, yeah, I want to keep doing
I
this
kept
for a
getting really
while?
positive feedback every time I uploaded
Hmm.
videos. I'd get people being like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! Like what?
Yeah.
This is amazing! I've always wanted something like this. This is like a childhood dream come true." And I was just like, "I'm I'm doing good in the world."
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's just a lot of positive feedback, and so that was really
Hmm.
encouraging to be like, I need to make another video because that felt really nice, and I'd like to feel like that again.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
just kept
cool.
doing that.
That's sweet. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's good. That's so wholesome. Your community feels like the most wholesome one out of all of them, as far
It's
as the
completely
channels
accidental.
go.
We're degenerates, all of us.
it's it's completely accidental.
Yeah.
Um, were there any other content creators that you watch that have influenced your style of video, or what did you kind of base it off of?
Um, I feel like
Random.
most people have a story here. Most people are all like, "No, I've watched these videos and this kind of stuff. This is
Hmm.
like how I've wanted." My experience with it was like, I want to just give the content that I would be looking for, like just a playthrough. Just like
Hmm.
you get to see all the gameplay, and you get to be like, "Oh, okay, this happens, this happens, this happens. Okay, this is more or less how the game feels, and this is an actual game. Oh, there's links in the description, that sort of a thing."
Mm.
A much less impersonal, or sorry, much more impersonal than I think a lot of other people. Um, in that a lot of people tend to like add their own commentary and stuff. When I was much more like, they don't come here for me; they come here for the content. So I just slapped that up there.
Uh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And um, as far as influence, what was really fun towards the beginning was seeing other people on YouTube play my maps and then comment on them, because like I didn't really have anybody
Oh.
else in my life that was into accelerators that really cared about the maps at all. But then there were these
Mhm.
strangers on the internet that not only like were interested in them, they really liked them. And so they
Yeah.
were just like, what, he did all this, like, oh my, like, well, this is so well made, oh, I can't believe it. And like I'd just be sitting there watching it just like, yes, say more. Yeah, what else do you have to
Yes.
say? Like Vulcan, when he first got into it, I think he was one of the first ones that I was on YouTube and I was just like, wait, other people are recording video, like other
It's
people are
more.
noticing
It's
this
more of
stuff.
us.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah.
what? And it
Yeah.
was like a much more tangible representation of the impact that I was having, because it a lot of
Mhm.
the times it felt like I just like posted the video, and then some people saw it and then just kind of forgot about it and went on with their life. That's just kind of what I
Yeah.
assumed, the direction I assumed everything would go.
Mhm. I know a lot of people that always tell me uh from that era. I feel like it's like, oh yeah, I know Omega. Yeah, I know that guy. It's like, wait, you do? I think for one of them it was spoilers. I remember talking to spoilers about how he got into YouTube. He's like, oh yeah, Distance. I know Distance. How did you get into Distance? He's like, I've seen the videos. I've seen them all. So it's always intriguing to see that. And it always surprises me too. I guess you came out such an early time. I feel like in the community that a lot of people, a lot of people, you were the introduction back into Acceleracers YouTube in a way. Because I mean, I don't know many people that are as popular. What do you have, like 6,000 subscribers, maybe
Little under
something?
8,000. I think I'm like
Little
7.7.
under
It
eight.
has really slowed down
Okay,
to a trickle at this point because I'm not exactly
yeah.
breaking new ground with my videos here.
It's not. I'm not playing Hot Wheels Unleashed, guys. Sorry.
No, I was, but
Oh, you
it's
were.
like
You were.
it's not really
Yeah.
like that was like hardly the most popular content on my channel. I don't
Mm.
know. I like Hot Wheels Unleashed,
Never.
but
Never blew up there.
yeah, it's never been the most exciting game for me of all the different Hot Wheels games. It's
Mm-hmm.
been more exciting for me to like go back and revisit stuff from like 2004, like Stunt Track Challenge, for
Yeah.
example, or Hot Wheels World Race,
Yeah.
which I think
Oh
that's
yes.
probably one of my proudest moments is just getting that game to work on PC.
I was just about to segue into that. I forgot about that. All your tutorials on how to work Stunt Track Challenge and like Velocity X, and I think did you do beat that yet? Have you done beat
Yeah,
that
yeah,
yet?
I did beat that.
And you have done beat that. So like all of those, how much of a challenge was that
Beat that,
there?
or
For just all of them,
the
or like
most
how to get
challenging
them to
one
run and stuff.
had to have been Hot Wheels World Race. That game,
Dang.
you need to be more or less like an expert level like programmer, or just have a lot of like experience in reverse engineering in order to actually crack it. Do you want to know what happened?
Sure,
I
go for it.
I
We're
got
here.
lucky. I got lucky. I purchased a laptop, like an older laptop with a dual
Uh-huh.
core processor. And then I, on a lark, decided to try and install the game on it. And it actually worked. And the reason why is because the game's installation code needs to recognize a CPU with only 2 cores. If it has any more than that, and if the net code is any newer
What?
than like a certain, like year, it just will straight up like be like, I don't recognize this, sorry, it's below the minimum required specifications. It's just like basically like error, don't recognize CPU,
Yeah,
not
that
gonna
was its
install.
max back then,
Yeah,
was
no,
dual
exactly, yeah.
core.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anything newer just straight up won't work if you're trying to install the game. So what I was able to do was install it on the laptop and then copy and paste the game files, because the game runs fine on newer hardware. It's not actually that you
Mm-hmm.
don't meet the minimum system requirements. It's just that bug
Yeah.
with the installer. Um, and so that was kind of just really lucky. And I'm glad, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
good game. And
Oh
like it
yeah.
has like a decent PC port, and it really would have been a shame if that remained unplayable.
Yeah. I think any of those really, those are all really fun
No,
still,
yeah,
and
they're I don't know, they seem like toys that never get broken. Like going back
yeah.
in time and finding like a bunch of like Hot Wheels and like race sets, and at one point I had a toy Accelrons that I was playing with. That was a
Oh,
trip. Um,
that's sweet.
yeah, no, it was in really bad condition by the time I parted with it, as with was almost everything that I got as a kid, because my philosophy as a kid was like, no, I must not preserve this. These exist.
You got to play with
Yes,
it.
these exist to be enjoyed. No, there is no
That's
purpose in
right, collectors. You're
leaving them
supposed to play
on a
with your Hot
shelf.
Wheels.
Yeah, no, I never saw the point in ignoring the thing that was designed to be fun, and like to have, for you to have fun playing with it. Why leave it on a shelf?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, now
Yeah.
it would be nice to have some of the stuff that's in good condition and be like, cool, it's like still there and it still works. But at the same time, I feel like the trade off was worth it. I mean, I enjoyed it as a kid, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's, I had fun, and then nothing lasts forever, right?
Yeah. And I think that is the difference between like the games though. The games are so nice and easy still.
Exactly.
And
They are
I
perfectly
love that
digitally
they're
preserved. They are
yes, and I
exactly
love
as they
that
used to be.
they're well, not even just exactly. You can upscale it now,
Hmm.
and like it's really nice to look at
New
now.
textures,
It's
yeah.
like whoa.
Yeah, no.
I know. I don't know if you heard about the modding scene for World Race and them trying to speed. They're creating a speed run mod for World Race, the game. It's quite insane. They replaced almost every texture in the game. The UI is different. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
they're
And this
rebuilding
guy
it?
is just telling me, what was his name real quick? I have it right here. Please don't get mad at me.
I'm already upset.
Enigma is the like world race coder for the speedrunning community, and it's just freaking insane. He showed me just a little bit, and I'll have to show it at one point
Yeah,
on my
yeah. You'll
channel
have to
because
send
it
me a
is
few links or something.
so cool looking. It's all HD UIs, and he changed. It's just insane. It actually is insane. Um, how much he did in that, and that he was helping me get some of the stunt track challenge decals out of the files, because I'm gonna try to redo some of them and such, because I did a couple. I did like a Hot Wheels graffiti one and some other stunt track challenge logos, because I love those logos. Those are some of my
You know,
favorite.
it'd be fun for challenge levels. Distance actually perfectly built to accommodate challenges from Stunt Track Challenge, like the tower climbs or
Yes, yes, I forgot
like
about
the
that. Yeah.
the brakelesses or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the other stuff that they had that is perfectly built to accommodate that. So all you'd have to do is, I mean, you could go the direction of Stunt Track Challenge with accelerators. I think the reason nobody has done it yet is just because there's not as much enthusiasm. For some reason,
Mm,
I think
yeah.
Accelerators had a much bigger emotional impact, and if you
Yeah.
tried to look into
It
it,
just came out at the same time. Yeah.
well, no, not just so Stunt Track Challenge that came out at the same time as Accelerators because I remember
Mm-hmm.
playing them at the same time when
That's
I
what I
was a kid.
mean. Yeah.
But the reason I think Accelerators has persevered and that there's so much more content related to Accelerators, I think it has something to do with the emotional impact of the story
Right.
because Stunt Track Challenge was cool, but you didn't get as emotionally invested in Brian
Yeah.
Storm's upbringing or his life or his story. You
Good
didn't
point.
care what happened
Good
to him
point.
because nothing happened
Yeah.
to him because he was a game show
Yeah.
host. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was cool, like
Mm-hmm.
arguably cooler than Accelerators in a lot of different ways and a lot of the game design choices, but it didn't feel like it wasn't like personable, not
Yeah.
like Accelerators was because it had characters that were just like you could relate to,
Yeah.
and a story that you cared how it ended up and you wanted to know what was going to happen. In Star Trek
Right.
Challenge and in other Hot Wheels games, it was more just like, oh, cool, like new level, like, oh, this is neat. This
Mm-hmm.
environment is neat, and I like a lot of the design choices that they've made with this environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas with Accelerators, it's much more.
It's character.
It's
It's
yeah, it's a
emotional.
story.
It's investment in the person themselves, rather than just the environment they live in.
Yeah,
And the environment they live in is just really cool.
it is. Yeah, no, a
um.
lot of the world design choices were actually really inspiring as well.
Mhm. I think I think that goes back to what's a little bit annoying about Unleashed, and not I did wish it went the stunt track challenge way in just terms of gameplay,
Yeah,
and it's almost more forgettable than Ryan Storm, because there's no host, there's no anybody in it.
there's
It's
absolutely
just
no emotional investment.
it's not even as emotional, I feel like, as stunt track driver, which, I mean, you come across like it's the kid putting the Hot Wheels car on the track,
Yeah, even that
like
has a
just that
little bit of
hand
yeah.
putting,
It kind
like,
of
the
puts
it's
you,
you
yeah.
putting
It
it
brings you into
into
the
the
game,
digital
yeah.
space.
It's just like
And
whoa,
in this, it just spawns.
yeah,
It's what's going on. It's all fantasy, but we're all little
yeah,
cars. It's a little more micro
yeah.
machinesy,
Make no mistake,
and
it's a
I
good
think.
game. It's well built, and they made a lot
Oh,
of really
right,
good
right, right, right.
design choices,
Yeah.
and they've done the whole thing really professionally. But you're right. Um, that
Yeah, it's
emotional
very
appeal isn't
forgettable in
there.
terms
Yeah,
of that.
no, it's just like take something like, for example, like God of War. The entire reason people
Mhm.
relate to it is because you care what happens to the characters, and they don't
Yeah.
always get their way. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really you can't have that feeling of like it being rewarding without risk and without conflict.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I do it, and I think this more has to do with how Mattel sees the brand of Hot Wheels rather than the game developers. The game developers are just, they're making a product based off of how Hot Wheels wants a game to
Yeah,
look, sort of. And I think Hot Wheels just doesn't understand that they can make emotional games as well, or just even just a little bit emotion. Like I said, just the little guy or little hand putting the car on the track, and it goes, and it's like, oh, you're there with it,
yeah. I mean, that's why marketing
something to
executives make
connect.
such high salaries, is because they understand these things that other people are just like, well, it's a good game. Why isn't it selling?
Oh man, that is, yeah, I can't speak to that much. I guess I'll have to find one of the Mattel execs and just talk to them and say, hey, what's up?
Hello, I would like to talk to you about some of the bad decisions, in my opinion, you've been making concerning your brand.
Right. It just be like, hey, Jeff Gomez, you just hire him again, because he did a pretty good job
Well,
last
see,
time.
that's I think the
I don't know.
entire reason that Accelerators um, has remained where it has, and you see that with Battle
Right.
Force 5 as well. Um,
Yeah, Battle Force
Battle
5 I
Force
think
5
still
isn't
has a
bad.
great
Yeah, no,
following.
it's not
Yeah.
bad, and by its own, it's like it is solid. I think the reason a lot of people don't like it is because it's got a lot of similarities to Acceleracers, and they're just like they look
Yep.
at it and they're like Acceleracers, and then like they see things
Yep.
that are just like
And then it
no,
wasn't.
it is
Exactly.
distinctly not Acceleracers, and they're like
Exactly. I
and they don't
that's
watch
how
it.
I remember it. Yeah, that's how I remember Battle Force 5 as being advertised as Acceleracers 5, sort of, because it had the big old 5 there, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Vert Wheeler, and he's going in a new adventure." And I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna watch this first episode. This ain't Vert Wheeler. Who is this dude? Like, he
He's
just destroyed
blonde,
Power
but
Rage.
wrong.
Everything's wrong.
He's blonde in the wrong way.
Someone moved a chair in another dimension or something. Dang it! In another timeline." Oh
Oh,
my
you thought I
goodness.
was that
Yeah,
Vert Wheeler? No, no relation.
I know, and now they have like 3 different vert wheelers because of Infinite Loop, and what's the mascot? I feel like they need a mascot again.
It's
Vert's a great one.
yeah, it is a bit of a story. I know they had a cartoon like a 60s like they Hot Wheels had a 60s cartoon, and that's actually
Yep.
what they ended up
Yep.
doing with World Race is they took that character and gave him a son, Tom Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Um so
Mm-hmm.
Tom Wheeler was the main character, like the 60s cartoon. And they all like they change, permutations depending on what is happening. It's what's a good parallel here? Something that
I
looks
don't know what you
different
mean. Like,
every time, but keeps having sequels. It's like it's
oh, reboots or reimaginings,
basically,
like a
yeah, they just
reimagining, like
reboot it
Ratchet
every
and
time,
Clank.
yeah. And they take the same IP, and then they give it a different flesh and blood and story writers and art team, and as a result, you get something that looks and feels different, but is technically a part of the same lineage or canon or borrows from a lot of the same things. I think
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons is a good example because it's all high fantasy, but it's all different permutations of more or less the same basic concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Racing suddenly important?
Yeah.
You know,
That's funny because that's what Jeff Gomez would say.
yeah, that's what I remember like
It's
reading about
literally,
it.
literally.
Yeah, no, when I
Oh, that's
saw
great.
Jeff's post, actually, it was really kind of inspiring. It's a lot of what gave me the ideas to go off in the direction that I am going in with my channel and with everything
Mm,
that I'm doing.
yeah.
In that, you take the core concepts and the basic concepts, and you just apply that as like a foundation. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
revisit stuff that's already been done. D&D isn't fun if you're always going to Mordor to destroy the One Ring.
Yeah.
Or if you're always, just doing the same things over and over. It's the foundational principles that really make it what it is. And I feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot of potential. I feel like that's the future of accelerators. There's a lot of potential for developing like RPG frameworks, for developing like
Mm-hmm.
VR props. Like if you wanted to go in the direction of making various different games, you wouldn't do it with the same exact story. You'd take the premise and then you'd give it new
Yeah.
characters. You would host this new thing in the world of Acceleracers. You would not
Yeah.
redo Acceleracers.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I think probably one of the only ones I've heard that was like, no, don't go back for now. Just do something else in the same world, and then come back to that. Maybe, or I would say, then come back to it and finish off what you
Revisit
had.
it momentarily from time to time in
Mm.
order to remind people who are watching of what they are doing there and why they
Mm-hmm.
are there and give them something new. In the words of Taro, the Accelerons believed in moving forward. Who are
Oh,
we?
we've been stuck
Yeah,
for
who are we as a community if we just
17,
keep
18 years.
chewing the cud, more or less?
Yeah.
Keep processing the exact same themes and characters and settings
Mm.
exactly as we've remembered it. It's not conducive to growth.
Mm. Man, that's good. That's good stuff. I know I've had an idea uh of a video of just how should we bring accelerators back if it does come back, and
I think if it
I don't
does,
want to go
there's
into
no
that right
way to
now, but
continue the story from where it left off. That has to remain a mystery
mm,
at this point. There's no
Yeah,
way.
and it sort of can,
Yeah,
because it sort of just leaves it off. It's one of the almost perfect cliffhangers that
exactly. It
I
just
don't
like
think many
opens
people
up a
think
lot of
about.
possibilities. Just like, oh, it happened this
Um,
way.
yeah,
What?
and it created this community of us still trying to figure out what happened.
That's one of
And
my
it's like, why are we still here?
yeah, that's one of my long-term goals is to try and write an ending for the series. But I haven't ever really
Yeah,
started. I know there's been several projects that have gotten off the ground, and
you got
yeah,
Tom Wheeler's
exactly.
Acceleracers
Yeah, no,
5 finish line,
yeah, I
and A.L. Seg's comic book based off of that.
yeah,
But well, that is certainly interesting. And I wanted to ask, in that same regard, do you have any other future plans for the channel? Where you're going with it? You know, what's the big idea?
I don't know. I have no plan.
Ah,
I come up
just
with
go
these
along.
ideas that I think are cool, and then I just try and follow through with them. And then if I think of something else afterwards, I do that. And then there's a few
Mm,
things that I just do continually, more or less, not because it's breaking new ground, just because it helps maintain a like a cohesive community environment. You know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm.
people see the tournaments, that gives them something to talk about in
Yeah.
the channel. They can talk about who did well, who did poorly, how they felt about
Mm-hmm.
everything, and then talk about like, oh, I'll trounce you next tournament, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just gives people something to talk about, and it makes it feel like there's a direction that the server is moving.
Mm-hmm.
I really have a problem going in a lot of different directions with a lot of different project ideas that I have, and that's been a consistent thing for me because I've got so many different like quote unquote good ideas, things that are exciting,
Yeah.
and that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem with it, is that it is exciting not just for me but for a lot of other people. So I have to fight the
Yeah.
temptation to like do 1 or 2 hours on a project and tease it, and then just be like, ooh, what's happening here? I'm working on something
Mm.
cool, and then everybody like getting excited and me being able to, yes, I am important and talented, yes, and then just finish the things that I say that I'll do, and before
Yeah.
moving on, which is why I've been stuck so long on like making these Accelron car designs. Is I just want a full roster, and once I have that, I can shift gears, but I can't
Mm.
stop until it's done. Um,
Ah.
and if unless I want it to never get finished. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just keep on trucking, and then we move on after we're done with what we've been working on, sort of.
exactly.
That's good stuff. Well, I would just want to thank you for coming on. It has been a great 53 minutes, according to my timer here.
54 almost.
Uh, 54. Yeah, it's almost a 54. Are there any ways people can find you? Other ways that they can support you? Patreon, YouTube, just
Um,
have at it.
Patreon is always nice, although at this point I've more or less discontinued a lot of what I was doing with it. It mostly had to do with fixing and replacing car models for distance,
Mm,
which is what a lot of people wanted. But I've since, as I mentioned, not done that as much because I've been more focused on getting Accelron cars out. But if you want to support the streams, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support me, Patreon. Yep. Um, yeah, if you want to post a link to that in the description, Patreon,
I
YouTube,
will.
and
Yeah.
Discord are basically it. I am a subscriber to the philosophy that social media is is damaging to your mental health in a lot of ways, and so I try and limit myself to just Discord and YouTube. And so far, it seems
Hmm.
to be working.
Yeah.
So those are the three channels that I use, and if you want to reach me, that is how you may do so.
Well, there you go. And you can reach me, JC Squared, pretty much anywhere on the internet because unfortunately, I want pain in my social media mental health. You can find me at Twitter at JCC underscore 2224. And JC Squared, JAYCEE squared on YouTube, JC dot squared, JC dot squared on Instagram. And of course, all links down below in the description. And yeah, thanks for coming on,
Thanks for
Omegapus.
having me.
It was great having you. So, any last words before we go?
Oh wow. Uh, I didn't realize it would all be over so suddenly. Well, I'd like to say goodbye to my friends, to my family. I'd like to thank everybody who's been kind to me.
Well, that's nice, yeah. And on that depressing note, goodbye.
Final words, yep.
This has been the Squared Corner Podcast. Music composed by Steve Rocket. Video and audio recording by Riverside.fm. Video and audio editing by JayCee Squared. Logo art by Miguel Martinez. Special thanks to Ratchet RPG01 and ALSeg for being members of the channel. And lastly, supported by you, the viewer. Thank you.